Hello, everybody, and welcome back to TJ's Lego Room. And today, as promised, I am bringing you a breakdown of my walker that I showed you in my last video that won the contest. Here it is. I call it the ATTJ, the All-Terrain Tactical Jacuzzi. It's probably one of the greatest creations I've ever made, and it's absolutely one of the favorite walkers of all the snowtroopers, especially the snowtrooper brass, the commanders and captains and such, because they absolutely love this thing. Be able to go around on the battlefield, being nice and warm, having the bubblies go in, and it's got a droid controlled head, so that's important to make sure that everybody's taken care of. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. I think you can see how I made it, but oh, wait a minute, what's this over here? Oh, that's right. Nah, that's not what we're doing. We are looking at this gigantic monstrosity, the largest muck I've ever built, the All-Terrain Tactical Command, the ATTC. Whew. This is absolutely the biggest thing that I have ever made. Just the sheer size of it is just massive. I mean, just look at that thing. Just before I get too far, I do apologize for the shaky cam and the focusing. I'm using a new camera on this particular video, and I'm doing the voiceover later, trying to increase my production value here. It's not ideal. It's not my favorite, but we'll get there. But getting back to this thing, it's just so massive. I'm fairly certain that it's in the I don't know. It's got to be in the tens of thousands of parts range. It's got to be. I have no idea how many it actually took, but I definitely ordered a lot of parts. Here's a little comparison here between the First Order ATM-6, the actual Lego set, the All-Terrain Mega Caliber 6. This is the actual set next to the ATTC. And as I come around here, you can look and see that that thing is really short. As I bring it to the back, you'll see that the top of the ATM-6 is actually almost on par with the landing platform there on the back of the ATTC. So you can have a little guy who's walking across and can just hop onto the roof of the other one. It's pretty fun, right? Okay, so this thing is just huge. It's not quite twice as tall, but it's definitely much taller than the ATM-6. I wanted to see, I kind of in my head canon think that the ATM-6 and the ATTC are actually on the same scale in this particular demonstration. So the ATTC would be just a gigantic monster of a walker. I designed this walker after listening to a bunch of videos about what are wrong with the ATs and the other walkers in the Star Wars universe. And so I started in, and I tried to come up with as many solutions to the problems that they brought up as I could. Starting, of course, with the 6 legs, right? With the 6 legs, it doesn't have near as many problems falling over. I also wanted this platform on the back because what they had talked about is I put the TIE Fighter on here. What they had said is that the AT walkers would be a lot better suited to a support role rather than an assault role, like a frontline assault. It was more of a good battlefield rearward vehicle kind of thing. As you can see, not only did my little transport fit on there, but that TIE Fighter fits on there just right. It fits on there so pretty. I just absolutely love the way that it looks on that thing. That's actually how I displayed it for the for Brick Slopes 2019 here in Salt Lake City, Utah. So, but let's go ahead and jump in right to the guts. So at the top here, you can see as a command center, I went with the Lucrehulk class battleship that you saw in episode 1, and kind of took inspiration from that on the communications array on the top here. So you can see I've got the 2 matching antennas. You have the one major antenna. We've got a radar antenna dish or some kind of thing. They had a lot of assortments on there, so I thought that was fun. And then just some little ones to kind of round out the whole top of that communications array, be able to communicate with anybody on the battlefield, short range, long range, and then also subspace and deep space is what the idea is. So if we take off the roof, we can go on to the next, the upper level, which is the artillery level. On the front, you can see we've got these giant artillery cannons that are long-range artillery, and they are meant as battlefield support. They do have 180-degree rotating, so that anywhere on the battlefield that is in front or on the side of them, they're able to take out any long-range targets. And then, of course, we have 2 anti-aircraft turrets. I think I did a video on these a little while ago. And those anti-aircraft turrets have a 360 rotation, whereas the artillery just has the 180 rotation on either side. So the anti-aircraft, I really like them. I think they're gorgeous. And then the arrangement here was actually suggested by my wife, Ladima. She's just amazing. One of the other parts I'm showing right here on the very front is this little outcropping right there, how it kind of flows into the anti-aircraft turret. I was actually pretty proud of that. Inside here, you can see we have 2 gunners that actually have the heads-up displays that are using the targeting computers and everything. They've got an arc indicator and then a battlefield grid that they can see. Those are obviously from the Avengers Tower set, which is fun. Then we have 2 reloading gunners, and then the pathway right there for the feeding mechanism to the forward artillery. Those are pretty awesome. I'm actually really proud of this little thing in here. The only negative that I have in my own mind about it is that I didn't have a way for these guys to get out of this room. They are stuck there. This thing is big, but it's not big enough for me to have an elevator in it yet. So, and then when we take off the back, you can see those anti-aircraft turrets in the back as well. They're exactly the same as the forward ones, but they're a little more integrated into the rear of the walker. It's a lot easier to move them around, and they kind of fit inside there really well. Stand up, you little stormtrooper. Anyway, then you can see the platform here, the landing pad, which was a lot of fun to design. It took a lot of extra pieces. Now we're going to go to the second level. Woo, here we go. One-handed pickup of the upper level, which is actually what it's designed to do, believe it or not. So then here we go. We look inside. We have the command center of the tactical command. Over on the right here, I'm going to zoom in on the holographic display where they're watching the battlefield safe inside their giant walker far away from the front lines. Obviously, the green are the First Order ships as the friendlies, and the red is the resistance for the unfriendlies. Got some extra stormtroopers in here for support in case anybody tried to invade this particular ship. We've got our Star Destroyer-like pathway for the officers to be able to walk down and walk to the very front of the walker. And you can get a little bit of a taste for what's coming up. Looking at the front here, you can see those red panels on the front, those trans red panels there, are going to come in handy in just a minute, and I'm going to show you what those are. They're pretty awesome if I say so myself. But we got a couple extra stormtroopers. I like to think that those stormtroopers are there to kill all of the gunners and workers there in case they are invaded. Their job is to take out everybody on the ship so they can't be captured. All right, now I'm going to show you one of my favorite little mechanisms here. Is that this door on the back is a sliding door and actually is on gears and opens almost completely, almost 8 studs wide. It can open up to, which is so awesome. I really enjoyed making that. I stole the design off of the old Sheathipede class shuttle from Star Wars: The Clone Wars. They had a Lego set of it, and that's very similar to the mechanism I used for this, which is really fun. But now we're going to get into the really cool part, and you're going to see that the sides of this walker open. Let's get some focus there. And underneath are windows. So one of the other things they talked about in the walkers is that why would you ever have windows on these things? Because they're just weak points. They're just target points. But I thought, what if they were protected? What if they had shields over them when they weren't in use, when you didn't need them or when there was danger? And so here you go. You can see right in there into the command center. There's General Hux running the battlefield from safe inside this massive walker. Now this thing also does have shields, but you can't always rely on those. They can be taken out by all kinds of stuff. And then on the front here, you can see it goes all the way through, so they can actually look out the front over the head of the walker. And when I focus properly, you can see my fingerprints and some scratches on those things. All right, now I'm going to open up the side here from the inside, and you can kind of see what it looks like when it opens up and see kind of what the minifigs inside see. Let me just fix that little thing right there. So these panels are trapezoid panels that are commonly found on Jedi starfighters, the ETA-2 class interceptors. And they came in trans red in one set, in a Batman set, I believe. And so I got them. It was really fun. Okay, now the really tricky part. I got to try to one-handedly lift the second level off, which it actually started to fall apart as I did this. So, which is why you kind of see I set it down pretty quick and just push things out of the way. It was actually falling apart right before then, and I had to put it back together and try it one more time. So this is a second try. And then the platform comes off, and we can see down inside the main barracks level of this walker. So this walker is technically self-sustaining, and all of the stormtroopers know each other on this thing. So nobody can infiltrate, supposedly. So you see we've got bunks, we've got a weapons rack, we've got a little kitchenette with a microwave and a little sink, and then some fuel pods. Those are the orange things, and some speeders, which is fun. We've got our little captain watching a game of air hockey, because as I was sitting there, I'm like, well, if it's going to be completely self-contained and self-sufficient, then I got to make sure I have something for them to do. These speeder bikes are based off of an old Clone Wars era Bark speeder, I think they're called. Just transformed. It used to come in white and green. I just transferred out a lot of the colors to black. And then down inside there, you can see I've got some directional arrows and stuff, those yellow arrows. Those are actually from the Avengers Tower again, so a little crossover Marvel Star Wars thing. Hey, it could happen, right? Doctor Strange and the quantum realm and all that stuff. Totally could make that. Hey, what's that? That looks like a little hole in there. What could that? Is that a hallway? What could it be? Actually, if you look over on the left there, you can see a guy in all black, and his Stormtrooper uniform is on the bunk above him. Because after I did all that, I forgot to have a place for them to put their uniforms. Now, here's that old escort speeder that I had a while back that I showed you, and that actually fits inside here as well. Most of this walker was designed over two things. A little flap opens in the back, and you can just sail right out there. It was designed around two things. One of them was that shuttle, the TIE Reaper shuttle, First Order TIE Reaper. And the other one was that escort speeder to make sure that it would fit inside. And then I built those other two speeders to be able to fill it in, because I liked the escort speeder following the Reaper around. All right, now I'm going to show you what's under here, because of course there's more. So we pop out that little sunken area, and we have a tunnel leading from the barracks forward into the head of the walker. Let's see if we can get a good view here. Pardon my lamps, trying to get some extra light. So I'm going to get my camera down inside there, and you can see that hallway right there. For those of you who are familiar, or who can guess what that is, for those who can't, those stickers are actually from the Emperor's Throne Room set. That's the shaft that Vader throws the Emperor down, spoiler alert, at the end of Return of the Jedi. So now here's the head of the walker. I did specifically design it to look a little bit like a rhinoceros. In universe, though, it's designed to look a little bit like a reek, which is one of the creatures that they fight in Episode 2. Now we go inside, and we can see that the drivers don't entirely line up with where the red line on the head is, and that's because they don't actually use it. This was another thing that they mentioned in the problem with walkers is the transparent steel. Why don't they use heads-up displays? Well, everything inside this ship is completely heads-up display. It all uses sensors and cameras in order to let everybody see what's outside and what's around. So we've got two ATM6 drivers that I bought off Bricklink. And then right here, as soon as it focuses, you can see the visor that they have in front of them, that little red piece, which is from another DC set, is actually a heads-up display. And you can see they've got all their readouts and markings, and they can see through there what the battlefield looks like in a little like a holographic heads-up display, which is pretty fun. Then I almost knocked the head off right there, but I don't, which is good. It needs a little bit of reinforcement. I did build the head in one take, in one go, but I'm actually pretty happy with how it turns out. Now, underneath here, for those of you who've been a fan of my channel for a while, you'll recognize these from one of my Millennium Falcon style ships, Corellian ships, the Rogue Pirate. Then I'm just going to smack the camera with it. But I was able to repurpose them and get them onto this walker as the chin mount cannon, which is fun. It's always nice to repurpose things. We got the side cannons that can be controlled by any person on the walker, and then of course you come to the side. You got those 6 legs, and in between each of the legs we have these anti-personnel cannons. Anti-speeder cannons, and they're not heavy lasers, but you know they're decent sized. They're pretty good. And look at them go! Look at them spin around like crazy. I'm actually happy with the design of them, with how I connected the different pieces and how I used them. They are just a little bit squirrely sometimes, and you got to be careful when you're moving them around. But we have those between each set of legs there. And then at the very back, we have a second copy of the chin mount cannons so that it is protected from the front and the rear and is able to take out ground forces. No Jedi gonna come up underneath this thing, right? Really wanted to make sure the Jedi couldn't get it, so I made sure those cannons could flip all the way around. So isn't this great? All right, now the last thing we're going to look at are the legs. Now these legs were actually quite difficult to do, but I really had a ton of fun with them, and I'm really happy with how they turned out. They're really big, they're really beefy, and they do actually articulate. I'll show you that in just a minute here. But if you notice, the middle legs are thicker and taller than the edge legs, than the ends. And the idea was that those big legs could actually anchor themselves into the ground. So this thing could have all 4 of the small legs gone and still support itself off the center legs because of their beefiness. And then you can see they do articulate back and forth. Unfortunately, the weight got so heavy on it that I can no longer articulate. And you'll see in some pictures that I have later. So they don't quite do the same thing that they used to. Well, as it goes around, I just want to shout out one more time. Thank you so much for checking out my channel. This has been a huge effort, and so many people were so supportive of me building this thing, and it's probably my favorite. It's got to be my favorite mock, and my kids and I have already started playing with it. It's not just a display piece. We have a ton of fun. So thanks for checking out TJ's Lego Room, and we will catch you next time. Bye. Okay, you guys want to see how I made this sucker? While you guys are looking at some of these pictures, I'm actually going to show you, I'm going to talk to you about what I did and how this came about. So I was already thinking about making this thing for a long time. And then Lego Star Wars fans had a contest to win tickets to Brick Slopes 2019, which is the local Lego convention here. It's actually held in Sandy, Utah at the Mountain America Expo Center. And it's a really cool experience. I've been able to go a couple of times, I remember, but never been able to go as a designer or as a model builder, a mock builder. And so this time they said, hey, if you win this contest, you'll be able to do this. You'll be able to go and display your mock and all this stuff. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to kick this into high gear, and I'm going to wrap this thing up in less than a month. So I started ordering parts. I started building. I took apart so many mocks and so many sets to be able to get the parts I needed for this. But as it went along, I totally got it. It was absolutely fantastic. I was so happy with how it worked out. And so after winning the contest, I showed up to Brick Slopes the day before, set up my mocks, and as I was there, one of the guys said that I should bring my Ahsoka lightsabers, which if you saw my video exclaiming that I won, you'll see that was something that I did, and I did bring those, and luckily I actually won 2 awards at Brick Slopes, which is really awesome. I won one of the awards for the walker here, and they said it was the best Star Wars base. I had shown quite a few people the insides of it, and so they were like, they knew it was a base. It's not just a vehicle; it's a full-on base. And then the Ahsoka sabers won Best of Star Wars, which is so awesome. Later on, I find out that not only did they come with little trophies, but they also came with prizes. And so my wife, Ladima, brought all of our kids, and we all went to the closing ceremonies where they passed out sets like crazy. They have a lot of support from Lego. The whole event was just amazingly cool. And so then it finally comes down to it, and the walker that you saw in the video just before this was one of the things that I won, which was so great. It was so exciting because there are 3 sets from The Last Jedi that I was not able to get. I wasn't able to get the throne room scene, and then I wasn't able to get the ATM-6 or the Resistance crate speeder. And at this event, I won the ATM-6 and the Resistance crate speeder. The prize support at this particular event was amazing, and it was just huge. They ended up saying, I think they said they had $20,000 worth of sets that they were going to be giving away throughout the night. Now, so a lot of the sets were donated because they weren't selling. Unfortunately, a lot of solo Star Wars Story sets, which was kind of sad, but kind of exciting to be able to win some of those sets instead of having to go buy them. But then they also had some brand new sets, including the 20th anniversary Slave 1 was in there. And then they also, the piece de resistance was the Slave 1 Ultimate Collector Series, which is now retired. And it was such a great, so cool that somebody was able to win something like that in a contest. And actually, in this particular case, it wasn't a contest. It was actually, they did a random drawing out of everybody who was there, every single builder. So everybody had the same chance of winning. The 10-year-olds who came in there had the same chances of winning as I did. A 33-year-old mock builder who spends way too much time and way too much money on building custom stuff now. But everybody had the same chance, and it was one of the guys who actually put in a lot of work into the event and is super supportive of everybody. Ended up winning the UCS Slave 1. I was about to go up to him and say, hey, how much do you want for that? Because I sure would really like one of those. But no, I didn't have the money for that anyway. But we did find some really cool stuff. There were a lot of guys building custom minifigures and some really old sets. Oh, man. Some old sets that I had from when I was a kid, and I was just drooling over them, wanting to pick them up. But I resisted. I saved my money so that I could build the next big project that I'm going for, which actually is a set. It's a third-party set, and I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a review on it as soon as the parts come in, which should be sometime next week, and we'll build that and get it going. But in the meantime, I hope you were enjoying some of these pictures. This walker was a great joy. You can see some of the walking legs there, the legs in walking position, which was pretty cool. I was really excited about it, and I thought it would stay that way and be able to do that for the rest of the time. Unfortunately, that was not the case. So thank you so much again. If you stuck around this long, thank you. I hope you enjoyed checking out those pictures. I am going to be doing another video where I go through each of the pictures and talk a little bit about each one of them and what they do and how it worked out. But in the meantime, thank you so much for checking out my channel. This is really just for me to share what I build with the world. So hopefully you get inspired and realize that, hey, anybody can build anything, no matter who you are. So Thanks so much, and we will catch you next time in TJ's Lego Room.